Ho, 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 and welcome to day 21 of our Christmas calendar. And today we're going to go through how you can create micro apps to use them as lead magnets, but by using Cursor. So this is basically a tutorial on how to do vibe coding for founders, marketers, and people in the B2B space. So really, this is going to be a fairly long video because we're going to go through the full process of actually setting up the infrastructure, building an actual app within Cursor, and doing what we need to actually have a production or published app by the end of this video. So let's dive into it. So really, what we're going to cover today is really the core concepts and the core elements you need to be able to vibe code and build a micro app. Or in this case, what we're actually going to go ahead and build is that we're going to build an app that can roast your website to see how you can optimize the website to have more clarity for what you do and for who. But really, for doing anything like this, if you want to actually take the step into vibe coding and actually building a tool or an app with Cursor, you need a couple of components. And at this point, I probably built quite a lot of different tools and apps, and I'm going to show you them after I've given you kind of like the intro. So really, the first thing you need to do is obviously you need to have an idea. The idea that we are going to do today, as I mentioned, is roast my website, which is kind of like a way to help me optimize my website to really become more precise, more clear in terms of positioning and branding. Then we're actually going to use Cursor as the tool to build your app. Then you would need a server or a VPS, which basically stands for virtual private server. And you need GitHub, which is basically where we save the app that is built. On that VPS, we host your app. We host the authentication, which basically is the sign up and login. And we host a database where all data produced is being saved. And all data being saved is saved to the user so that it's the user can fetch the data later. For the actual server management, we use a tool called Easypanel. It's just an easy admin system that helps you install the authentication, install the database, and install your app, but also keep everything up to date. For authentication, we are going to use PocketBase. It's just a super simple way to do the authentications of sign up and login. And for database, we're going to use NoCoDB or Postgres, which is the most versatile, most used database there is, really. Maybe a Supabase being a big competitor to it, but Postgres is what we use in this setup. And really what we're going to cover in this video is we're going to cover how to get your own server, how to install Easypanel on that server to manage it, how to install the authentication and database on the server, how to take your idea and build that into an app inside of Cursor, how to save the app to GitHub, how to install the app on your server from GitHub, and how to connect the domain to the app so that you can actually share it. Because if you do all of these things, you will end up with an app. One thing that we've also built for you to speed this up is that we built something called a boilerplate. And a boilerplate is simply just a term for a pre-built skeleton and a folder for the app that has pre-built components in it so that you can have the login already built and have the core components. And we already have this, so you will be able to find that in this guide. And just to give you guys some context, I've built quite a lot of different tools using vibe coding and building in Cursor. So one of those examples is that we built a complete internal platform for managing posting on LinkedIn to get our stats, get the performance, and how it's worked. And at this point in the past 12 months, we've really generated 170,000 comments on LinkedIn for our own company. I've built a tool called Panda Posts, and it's a sequence of 3 different tools. This is for writing viral LinkedIn posts, Panda Prompts, which is for creating, testing, and optimizing prompts, and Panda Ads, which basically is writing paid ads. I've also built a objection handler, a value per lead estimator, which basically calculates the value per lead, a complete modeling tool that helps you model out your growth trajectory, a HER framework, which basically is a framework to project or estimate hourly rate on projects that you have, and another one which is PitchGrid, which is a way to simulate response of your market based on your marketing messages. And all of these, they have links to them. So again, you will also have this flowchart and whiteboard, so you can access all of them and test them if you want, except from the internal tool, of course. One thing that I just wanted to add in there as well is that when I'm building these apps, I use Dribble as the inspiration for the design and the UX and how things look. Just a quick tip at the end. So really, what we are going to do is I'm going to go through the rough process of how this is, because as I mentioned, one of the things that you need is you need your server, you need your authentication and database setup, and you need GitHub setup. And in between is where you take your app and you save it and then you run it. So we're going to go through this process step by step. And obviously this step in terms of building the app is going to be more of a longer step. And we're going to try to get this all done within the hour so that this doesn't stretch too long. And this might be a bit of a long video, and I gave a disclaimer on it, but it's a lot of things that we need to cover. So without further ado, let's just get into it. So in the whiteboard here, we have the first couple of steps. The very first step that you need to do is that you need to get your own VPS server. And this server can really be bought from Contabo. And the simplest way of you getting it is actually going to Contabo. And inside of Contabo, go to VPS, Cloud VPS, and basically just you can get the cheapest one. And they're also on sale now. So you basically select the server. Now we're just going to continue with the cheapest one. And here you basically select what you need. So it's a monthly basis. We set this up to Europe. You can go with this server. If you're just going to have a very, very low bandwidth and not a lot of data being saved, you can go with a 75 gig NVMe storage. That's just faster, making the server a bit faster. You want to be using Ubuntu. You want this to be 24.04. You can set up auto backup if you want. If that just makes you sleep better at night, that's a recommendation. And then the only other thing that you really need to change is the root password. This is really important for you to remember because that's used in the next couple of steps. So that once you have that, we can say that, okay, we've ticked the box of server. Now, once you've purchased that server, it's going to take some time, but you're going to be able to get a IP. So you will get an email with an IP similar to this. And what you then want to do, depending on if you want to do this or if you're on a Windows or a Mac computer, there's a couple of ways of doing this. Personally, I do this in Terminal. On my MacBook, I just open that and I paste in the code. So I do SSH root at, and then I do the IP of the server. If you do that, you will get you want to accept, or it's going to require something for you to accept a fingerprint of getting into it. Then it's going to ask you for the root password. And once you've logged in, you will get to pin something like this. You've logged into Contabo, you get the success message, and then you're good. Now, what we want to do is that we want to install Easypanel. And to give you some context, Easypanel is just a web page, you could say, or web app that helps us maintain and manage that server. And what you then really need to do, you just open easypanel.com, and let me just do that. So easypanel.io, and you will have a code here, which you just right-click, copy, and you paste that into the terminal and just hit enter. This might take up to 5 minutes. But at the end, you will get something like you can access Easypanel on URL. It's going to be the IP of your server and a 3000 at the end. If you click that, you'll get the page where you need to just sign up, create your Easypanel account, and then you are ready. So at this point, you've gotten your server, you've installed Easypanel. Now you want to install the different systems. So this is the page that you're going to get to when you open Easypanel the very first time. Once you've done that, you basically want to save your password, don't lose that, and you will get to a page like this. Now you need to create a project, and I, in this example, just created a project called tutorial. Inside the tutorial, you want to install two things. You want to install PocketBase and NoCoDB. So what you basically do is that you hit the plus service, you select templates, you search for PocketBase, You click it, and that will get you to the create PocketBase, where you will get to change this to latest. So you want latest to be the thing that is saved. Once you hit create, you basically do the same thing, but you add in NoCoDB, and again, you change this to latest. So once you've done that, you're basically installed both of them. And now you want to go to the NoCoDB DB service. You want to, on the left side, click to get to expose. You want to set the expose port to 5431 and hit save. Now you want to go to credentials, which are on the left side, and you want to copy this. So you can click this button to copy this long string, which is hidden, and just save that in Notepad. Next is PocketBase. So once you have PocketBase, you want to click this button to open it. It will give you an error message that nothing is here. So what you then want to do is, because it opened this, you want to copy the code that is in here. So you can see it after the 80 slash, and it's something like this. You want to copy that and add it to the back of the URL when you open it from the arrow, and that will get you to a page like this. And this is where you sign up the super admin, the super user for PocketBase, which will be used in the next couple of steps. Once you sign up, you'll get to a page like this. And what you want to do, you want to click new collection, and you want to change the type from base to auth. It is something that pops up on the top right side when you click create base. Once you have that, you're really good, because now you've gotten to the point where the next step is really building the app. After you build the app, we're going to get some more into saving it to GitHub, and then really taking that and installing it on your server. But before that, we really want to build the app in Cursor. So now we want to go into actually how to build the app in Cursor. There are other things left in the flowchart, and that, or the canvas, and that is saving it to GitHub and all those things, but we're going to do that later. Again, in the video now, you won't have a link here because that is being updated after the video is recorded so that you have the latest updates. So let's go over to Cursor. So in Cursor, what I've done is that I've downloaded the file and I've opened it and opened the folder. And the first thing that I want to do is I want to go to the .env, and I want to update a couple of things. I want to update the Postgres connection link and the details for PocketBase. So inside of Easypanel, in PocketBase, what you want to do is that you want to click to domains, and you want to copy this domain, and you want to paste that in here. Now, the admin you sign up for, you need to add in the admin username and password in here. Again, as you can see, these are just dummy credentials. They're actually working, but it's a dummy account. For Postgres, you go to this, you go to NoCoDB DB, and you copy the external connection URL, because after you set the export or expose port to this, you can copy this. And that gives you the details that you need. Now, what I want to do is I actually want to build the app that is roast my app or roast my site. So what I did is that I wrote just a long description about what I wanted the app to be. In this example, it is an app that can scrape the website of a company. It will turn that, it will feed that into AI, and AI will critique it and give it back. And then when I'm done is I am hitting send. So one thing that I've also done is that since I want this to use AI and OpenRouter, I have pasted OpenRouter API key and LLM model into the environment, so .env. And the way I've gotten those is that I've signed up for OpenRouter. I've added a credit card. I go to keys, and I've created a new key, just create new key, give it a name, and I get a code. And that's what I've added in. I've also changed it to OpenAI GPT 5.2 chat to be the LLM to be used. So now I'm going to just let the AI going to work to plan this app and get this going. But if I wanted to just test the boilerplate to see that everything works, what I can do is that I can just do this code. I'm going to paste that into the flowchart as well, so that you have that. That will stop any previous app, and it will start the new one. So I'm just going to add that in here, like so. So that way you have that code. Now, this has then planned. So you can view the plan here in terms of how it's going to work, how it's going to be operated, the response, the endpoints for this, all of these different things. It has that, all of that sorted in here. And then it started going through and actually building the different things for it. But if I wanted to test this, just to make sure that, okay, the app works, it's running, I can go to localhost 3000, and I'm just going to log out. And here I have it. I can then sign up and see, does that work? Create account. It's going to basically say yes. And then I'm going to get into the dashboard for the boilerplate. And this is going to be all the components, all the different things that was pre-built for you, just so that the AI has a bit of context for how to actually use this. Now, let's go back to the app. So this now gave us a bit of a different details to add to the environment. So we are gonna just update those. So there we go. Now, so next up, add this front-end UI pending. And now I would just do this. I would say, wonderful. So I've added the Open Router API key details to .env. Now I want you to build the front end for this. And we don't really want this to have a lot of different pages. We just want to have a very, very simple homepage dashboard with all of the things that we want to have, and then be able to run it from there and also see previous roasts on that homepage, and nothing else than that, really. So again, this is me just telling it what I wanted to do, what I wanted to be able to execute and do, but it should have built all the things that is needed. So now it is updating the dashboard. So if you want to ever see how an update is, you can just stop it and run that again. Or you could just close this. So open a new one, close the previous one, and run that in a new one. So if I refresh, roast my site. Again, this isn't able to roast anything, simply due to the fact that there is nothing to be saved. So this lets the AI then run and complete this. And once it is completed, we can then see, okay, what it needs to do next, because it's likely a couple of things that is needed, like along the database, the columns for the details to be saved, all these different things, so that everything is saved to the database. We want to make sure that that is set up. So let us restart it again. Again, you don't need to restart it unless it edits the server.js file. So if we refresh it, it's a bit of more details in here now. And there we go. Start the server and go to dashboard. And there we go. So one thing that I wanted to do now is I want to just restart it, because you will at this point see some errors in the startup. So here you go. So I'm just going to take all of this, and this is basically how we debug. So I get this error when starting server. And then the next thing that I want to do is I want to restart this, right-click, inspect, and console. And I want to take this as well and paste that in. But I'm going to wait to see if this is able to fix it. If this is able to fix it, then I don't need to paste it. Because what we've seen now is that we have the boilerplate. We've made the roast my site, but the database doesn't have the tables and the columns and the fields for the roasts and the user accounts. So we want to save those and get those to be created in the database. And that's what it's trying to really fix now. And again, if you have an error, copy that from the server logs of this, or from the console, so the website log here, and AI is going to be able to solve 90% of them. So let's see if it works now. Yep, no errors in here now. So if I refresh, we're still getting this one. So paste this. So, and this is called the console log. I get this in the console log when opening dashboard. And again, this is just a very, very simple way of just debugging it and fixing this, is that just feed the things that doesn't work to AI. And if it's not able to fix it, just keep feeding it the things, or you can revert back and actually try to address it from a different way. So basically restart the effects of it. So to most people, I recommend using Composer 1 for the model, simply due to the fact that it's so fast. And you don't need to wait a lot of time for this to build. And as you see, I'm just building this live video, guys. I haven't built anything else than the boilerplate, which I imported, which you also have, and wrote down the spec for what the app was supposed to be. The rest, I'm doing it live with you, as you see over my shoulder. So fix the issues. I usually, when I have those, I just restart the server just in case that might solve it. Refresh. All right. So the first thing I want to do now is I want to actually paste in our website and roast it. And here we go. A couple of errors. Open our API key is not configured in environment variables. So I am going to copy this. So I'm actually going to do new agent now. I'm going to paste that in. And I am going to copy this. This is probably what a lot of people will not recommend, is copy pasting this in. Again, these are things that I'm going to delete. So you want to potentially remove those. So I have the details in .env from before. So the reason is, if you copy this and you send that to an LLM, that might be saved. So you really want to avoid sending any of these private keys or API keys to the AI when it does it. You want to simply just copy, I have this and I have this. So the name of these parameters when you want to bypass. So now it made changes to the server. So I want to restart the server then, so it loads the new things. So if I refresh and then I do home.BuroVentures.com. I'm going to clean this up so that I can see the new errors, roast it. So now it's running. So one thing that I want to potentially do here is that I want to give this a loading icon so that I can see that it's actually working. If you want to see it otherwise, you can go from console to network. And here you then can see the action being happening. So this is the roast, and this is the data that it gives us back. So this is what we then want to look at. Again, this is just a very, very first draft. So I can go then and see, okay, undefined D. So undefined D. So I will then give this an output. So the roast output looks good, but it says on the top, fix this. So summary. This is a high-energy conversion optimized B2B growth site that knows how to sell momentum, but not yet how to explain itself simply. The fundamentals are strong, but clarity, specificity, and restraint would turn this from LinkedIn core marketing page to a genuine distinctive brand. Positioning. So the next thing that I want to fix on this is this. So it uses Markdown. So these are the asterisks that you have. Next, and that I want to change. So in the AI or LM output, I don't want it to use Markdown. Just plain text with line breaks. This is to make it easier to read. So it can then go through, because this is a bit difficult to read. So just how can I make this easier for someone to actually use? And this is the thing. So positioning is strong and output. So here you can just go through improvement suggestions. If I now refresh, I'm logged in. It should already show the previous roast in here. So what I want to then do is I want to go to console. I want to see, does it fetch roasts? It should fetch roasts, but I cannot see that it returns it or shows them. So I want to tell AI that. So new. When I load the dashboard, I don't see any previous roasts. I should have completed one. Figure out why, fix it. So if I then go through now and just do the same website again, so home.BuroVentures.com, roast it. It is roasting. And again, this is just one way that you can debug. In fact, see that everything works. Is that go to network? Those are the calls to the server for doing something, and console is just the log that the server then or the app feeds back to you. So here we go. This is way better. So 70 and a C, and it's fair. There is no, let's say, there's no markdown in here now, so that's really good. Audience. The Nintendo audience is clear to B2B founders, operators, and service providers, especially. Okay, so this is good. Rewrite the hero section to clearly state what you are. And again, now we really have the very first version of this. So let's see how we can make this app better. So first, we just want the roasts to actually work. So we need to restart the server because it seems like these now actually didn't save to the server. Oop. And now we got an error. So if I run the start again, this is error. Just paste that in, and AI is going to work on it to solve it. So again, the app that we're building now, and the very simple, small tool, is really just roast my site. So if for us, we help companies generate leads and grow in different ways. And if we can have a tool that helps them roast their site to get more data, obviously that is something that would be interesting for us. So I'm going to run another roast to see if it then saves. So we can always look at the server log to see how what is being done and what is being run together with the right click and inspect for the console and the network, just to make sure that, okay, everything runs how it's supposed to. And here we get some errors. So this is why. So we get the roast, and this is really good. Now it has line breaks. Beautiful. Now, but it doesn't save. So what we want to do is that we want to take all of this. I want to copy that in. Seems like it's unable to save the roast to database. Fix it for me. And again, that's really what you need to do. If you know how things work, if you know how to debug, so basically looking at the server log, this is a database error. It tells us that it's not able to do something. And using the network and console and copy these to cursor, you're able to let AI fix 99% of the issues for you. And now I'm just saying, hey, here's an error, fix it. That might not in all cases be the best way of solving things, but in this video, I think this is going to cover what we really need to cover. So I'm going to copy this, I'm going to refresh the page, I'm going to run another roast. I want to keep looking at the server log because that's where we got the error, that it wasn't able to save to the database. So now we want to make sure that it actually saves. We're going to give it some time because it's still roasting the website. There we go, 66. So it isn't entirely sure what to score as, but really this page is starting to do what we want to do. But we're still getting some errors. So I'm going to do a new agent. So that's a second way of trying to help AI debug this. So when we run a roast, the server log indicates that it's not able to save the roast to the database. Debug this and help me fix it. So it seems like the no value column roast text in relation to roast follows a not null constraint. So this is now going to go through and figure out what is happening, what do we need to do to fix it, and then try to update the things in the server to fix it. What if you really get into vibe coding and building tools like this process might go faster and faster and faster, but you will experience that you will need to do a lot of debugging. Like, oh, this then didn't function in the way that I really wanted it to do. It's not working how I wanted it to do. How can I fix it? Here's an error, and then debug your way through getting most of the functionalities to actually work how you want it to do. And that might take some time. I've had 7-8 hour days just trying to fix one bug. And once I fix it, the feeling is amazing, and the function of the app works as you want it to do. So there we go. Now we solved the roast bug. So let's do some other one. So there is a company that is amazing at really building websites with clarity, and that's Fletch. Fletch, that's basically what they do. They help you fix your confusing positioning. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to roast their site just to see how the current setup really does it. So this is actually really bad in terms of what this gouge is based on. So this site leans heavily on brand logos while skipping the most important part, explaining what you actually do and why it matters. And I would say yes, it offers the what it is, and it basically tells what it is and how it does it. So again, this just gives a bit of a different take on it. And here and now, if I refresh this page, you will be able to open each of the different ones. So really, that's a super simple app to build. And this now could be something that we could run. Again, the interesting thing here is that we've built this tool, an app now, behind a login. So you need to log in to have this. But what you could do is that you could set this up without a login, just do what we've done now without PocketBase or the login credentials, stuff like that, just Postgres, and it could run everything. So that the rows would be public, people could add in it would be public, and those types of things. So now what I want to do is I want to have AI give us a couple of more suggestions for what we could improve to just make this app better and more fully holistic. So I want you to give me a couple of ideas for how to further improve and make the Roast My Site a fully fledged Roast My Site tool. Think deeply about user experience, it actually being able to generate value and give value to the user and make something that the user would use again and again and again. So give me ideas and be conscious about what ideas you give me. Again, the beauty and why I really like Cursor is you can just ask it. So here it gives us a lot of different ideas. Again, if you want to give ideas and planning, using Composer 1 might not be the best. Using GPT 5.2, 5.1 codecs, using Gemini 3, all of these other ones might be better, but again, you want to test. Composer is really, really fast and it's fairly cheap. So high value, repeat use after features, progress tracking on historical comparison. That's actually an interesting thing. Comparison for a website over time. Again, the challenge with that, how I see it, is that we ran our website several times and it got everything from like mid 60s to a bit into the 70s. So it varies. So it's not universal. It doesn't like cut it at the same point if it hasn't changed. Action plan builder and task management. So the user doesn't know where to start. Competitive benchmarking. They don't know how they perform in relative to competitors. Quick check mode. Visual analysis with screenshots. Yes, that I want to add. To every analysis, I want you to take a screenshot of the website and show that on the analysis page when you've completed your roast so that it shows the page. Yeah, very vague description of that. Let's see what else it actually added for that. A nice visual hierarchy, hard visual issues, before and after visual comparisons, small. So actually, I think the screenshot is enough for this, because then basically what we're going to do is that we're going to have a screenshot of the website here, something like that. Again, we might need to, for making this really the best possible app or tool for Roast My Site, we might actually want to make this into a different UI for it. But then again, this is me just going through how to build an app like this and basically seeing what it's able to produce in a fairly short amount of time. So now it is going through and it's building that new feature of scraping and actually fetching a screenshot of the app and saving that to the database as well, it looks like. So here it has the screenshot, and then it's adding some styling to it so that it actually runs it. And since it made changes to the server, we need to restart the server. So we're going to give this a second until it is done coding and doing the things. And it looks like it is done now. Now, another change to the server. There we go. So now we can start again. So if I then take and do fletch again, let's just restart and do fletch roast. And yeah, I want to add that loading for this one as well. Just to really make this more interactive. But let's give this a second until the second roast is done. Maybe actually what we want to do as well is that we might want to add more illustration to it. Okay, so it was not able to fetch the screenshot. So I'm going to tell it that. So it doesn't show the screenshot of the website that we scraped and roasted in the front end. So again, this is just a process of iteration. Like, what do we need? What is happening? What does not happen? How do I want it to be? These types of things, so that it actually does what we want it to do. So building the features is easy. Making the features work how we wanted them to, that's a bit of a different case. So let's see how it handles now. Just give it a second for it to actually do the final changes. So it is running several changes to the server file. So that's why you want to stop it and then restart it again. Again, this is just me really just showing you the end-to-end process of how this works. And there's so many tools, there's so many different things that we could run for this. It's a screenshot not available. Okay. So let's try to do that again, but inspect, because now I want to see if it's able to fetch the screenshot or not. So both console and network is up, and we're also looking at this. So roast requested for user for this. Puppeteer browser launched successfully, screenshot capture. Okay, so this is an error. So it doesn't seem like it's able to take the screenshots. I'm just pasting that in. And yeah, screenshot not available. And again, this is what you can see. So same website, 31 to 39. That's one of the issues with AI in terms of it's not congruent in evaluating something and in the same exact way several times. So now let's just give this another one because now it changed a bit. So let's restart. Let's clean up this. Roast. So let's look at this. So roast requested, launching Puppeteer browser, screenshot. Yep. Now it seems like it was able to take the screenshot. And let's see. And there you go. Actually, it took a screenshot of the whole page. So that's an interesting one. But now, again, it did what it was supposed to do. So I could save image as. Let's see how that looks. Oh yeah. It did exactly what we asked it to do. It didn't get the images that was in here, but it got most of it actually. So yeah, this is actually really, really good. Let's try to do that with our home page again. So if we click roast, one thing I want to just do now is when I click roast, I want to show illustration, animation of what it's doing so that the user doesn't get bored thinking it's not working. If we then go back to the website, again, here we go. It took a screenshot of the website that we had, and then it shows all of this down below. So yeah, now this really works. It gives us the roast, it does all of the things that we wanted to do, and it simply works. So that's really the start to end process of how to do something like this. And now, what's left for this app is really how can we make it more user friendly? How can we add in other things that is necessary to have in it? And really just make this something that just works. So let's just wait and see what it does with the loading, illustration, animation of what it's actually doing, so that we can just see and say, okay, yeah, that's good. Let's wrap that up for now. So we restarted the app. We restarted the page there, roasted. Okay, yeah, this is way better. So it's capturing the content, capturing screenshot, analyzing your page. And funnily enough, it made that, let's say, fire animation on this as well, which just makes it more interactive. So yeah, this is way better in my mind. So again, it takes some time in AI analyzing the page and writing all the content before it actually starts showing it. But yeah, this already just makes it more interactive. Now I just want to make sure that it actually sends us to the correct page. Yeah, there we go. Wonderful. Perfect. So that's really it for the app. Now, what we've done at this point is that we've also built the app. So now the question is, how can we save this app to GitHub so that we can actually deploy this app? So the first thing, you need to have a GitHub account. And what you want to do is that you want to create a new repository. So top, if we go here, we go to github.com. I'm already logged in. You can click here, go to repositories, and you have a create new button here. That will take you to this page. You give it a name. So I'm going to call this roast my site. Give it a tool to roast your website's positioning and messaging clarity. And I'm going to do this as a private one for now, create repository. Once you do that, you will get this URL. The next thing that you really need to do is that you need to create your new token. So the way that you create a token is that I'm going to do that now with you, is that you go to GitHub settings. So if you at top go to settings on your account, you scroll all the way down to developer settings, and personal access tokens and tokens classic, you want to create new token and generate new token classic. Again, now, depending on your account, you might need to do what I'm doing now in terms of user authenticating it, in terms of using authenticator just to get in. But once you get here, I'm just going to call this cursor tutorial 01. I'm going to make this expire in 7 days and toggle repo. Now, generate token, and you're only going to see this once. So you want to go back and save this. So now you want to create this URL. So you have your GitHub repo. I'm going to go back to the repo, roast my site. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go to cursor, new agent, and paste that in. And then I want to copy the code that I got. That's wrong. Here we go. And now what I want to do is after https // I want to paste in that code and I want to add an @ and then I want to add a message, commit this local app to, and that URL, and I'm going to call it branch main. And the reason for that is that will now push that app to that GitHub, so that it saves it in there. And the branch is going to be main. Branches, you could call it similar to folder. So it's actually going to run it into that one folder that we wanted to do. And it's going to go through and save it. And the reason why we use GitHub is because GitHub is a really nice way to just save things somewhere and then pull it to different servers, and it is just saved in one place. So this now just runs through and saves the app to GitHub. Now, the same URL that we added in here, so now it's done. The same URL, because now we really have fixed GitHub. It's saved to GitHub. Let's tick that box. Next one is installing that app to your GitHub, from GitHub to your server. So if we go to your Easypanel, here we go. We want to create a new app. I'm going to call this roast my site. And we do, oh, that's a new project. That's wrong. But here, that plus app roast my site. Going to click to Git. We're going to paste that URL in here. We're going to do branch main and do / as a build path. Then we click save. Then we're going to be asked for Dockerfile, builder packs, or build packs, or nix packs. We're going to do nix packs. Install command, we're going to do npm install. It's nothing in build, and npm start in start command, and then hit save. There's one more thing that we need to do, and that is we want to copy everything from the .env file into the environment variables. So in cursor, we want to mark everything in the env file, all of this, and we want to go to environment for the roast my site, paste everything in, hit create environment file, and click save. And now we want to hit deploy. And we can check the deployment by going to deployments and clicking view on the ones that is being deployed. And this is where you can see the progress. And it's going to get all the way up to hashtag 14, so step 14 for this before it's published and deployed. So that's really, you've saved it to GitHub. And if you want to save it to GitHub, so if you make any changes, you have this button. You can find it here and source control. So whenever you make any changes, what you can do is that you can hit this button, which will generate a message for the update that is done. You can hit commit and sync changes. This will then send the new version that you have on your computer in cursor to GitHub, which will allow you to pull that into your server through Easypanel. Again, Easypanel makes this so easy instead of having to log into terminal and feel like a hacker doing all of these different things. And deploying the app might take less than a minute. It might need a couple of minutes to run. Now it's been running for about a minute. I have apps and have had apps that takes up to 10 minutes because there's been a lot of new updates, a lot of new packages and things to install and replace on that server for that app for it to be able to complete. So let's just give this some time and get back to it when it has deployed. And there we go. It has now deployed. So if I were to refresh this page, this will be green. In terms of domain, you will always have a default domain for the app. And for domain and accessing it, what you want to do is that you want to change the port 80 to port 3000, because that's the port that the app is built to serve on. If I now hit open, this might show. So if we then hit deploy, it will then update the domain changes. So if we go to board mix again and the flowchart, really we have deployed. Now the question is the domain. So how do we connect the custom domain to this so that you can have a actual page for that website or a URL? So I'm going to hit add domain. I'm going to call this hostmysite.buroventures.com. I'm going to make that port 3000, hit create. And then what I want to do is that I want to log into one.com. So I want to then add in the URL, the roast my site, and I want to copy in the IP of the server into API. And this is an A record. So if I click create for this, I need to log in again. So A record, the domain, host my site, create, and then it's created. And then that's really everything that is needed. If I then go to deployments again, since I just changed or pushed it again, it's going to have a new update and it's going to go through and it's almost done. So this might take some time. So let's just wait until this is done, and then let's open and see the app. And there we go. Now it has deployed complete. So if I hit the open, and this is actually an interesting thing because now we're going to see something that I completely forgot, and that is when we have the app deployed and we try to log in, we're going to get failed to fetch. And the reason for this is because the app was built for running on locally. So running this through an actual publish page is going to violate the security settings for the app. So what you want to do is that you want to copy this and actually run this into the cursor again. So when I try to sign up or log in, I get this in console. The app is now deployed and is accessible from these domains. So what we want to do is that we want to copy the domains in here so that it can optimize that, because then it needs to add those domains into the security settings for how ensuring that it's allowed to actually run these settings. And this is just a security precaution for this, so that it's able to actually run and do what it needs to be doing. So we're gonna let it update this, and then save from that way. So let's see. We're gonna then update this, so we're gonna run that back into GitHub, updating and syncing that. So once it's done syncing, we can go back and we can go to deployments and hit deploy again. And I'm going to pause this and get back to when it has completed deploying. And then we're going to go back to see if the error still remains. So there we go. Now we're back and it has deployed. So if we now were to refresh the site and try to log in again, I'm going to wipe this and see what happens now. Login successful. So now it is allowing us to actually log in and run this and see how it works. So that's really it. Again, now we logged in on a different user. So if I go log out, okay, that's one thing as well, is that the logout doesn't work. So that we need to change as well. So logout button doesn't work on deployed and public app. So that's also interesting. But again, let's just test to see if it actually runs now. So roast, it is roasting. Now we're actually doing this on the public page. So it is running through, and we can also see in network that it has the roast active. To see that it actually runs, confirm it's running, and I'm basically optimizing at this point. So again, one part of debugging is when you're actually in Cursor fixing it. The second part of debugging is when you have deployed it and making sure that everything just works as it's supposed to in the published app. So now it runs through, it has that. If I refresh, it's going to show the previously generated roast. So yeah, at this point, this is really good. We have the functionality that we want. It's on a public URL. I'm going to redeploy this in a different environment so that we're not using the server that you have access to some credentials for. We're going to delete all the API keys that has been used so that it's not usable. But the page and app will still remain and be the same URL. So really, now it changed some settings. I'm going to update this. I'm going to commit that and sync it. And that is going to be, my ladies and gentlemen, building an app from scratch, using that to become a lead magnet for you. And again, one thing that we probably needed to do is that we needed to change the login page. Maybe you want to put up a nice page for it. And we can also all do that inside of Cursor. But I wanted to keep this video under 1 hour, and we're getting so close to the hour. So if you want to learn more about how these types of micro tools fit into a lead generation strategy and how you can use that to generate leads, either through an outbound or inbound way, we would like to speak to you, because we would like to extend our invitation to help you get a walkthrough of the B2B structure that we've built in the past 10 years that will allow you to generate leads in any sort of way if you're a B2B company. But once you have those leads generated through apps like Roast My Site or others, what do you do with those leads? Because nurturing them, building a relationship with them, building credibility and more trust is paramount. And most B2B companies miss that. We built a system that we perfected over the years to help you do that. And we would like to give you a walkthrough. So there is a booking calendar down below. If you book on that, you're going to get a video that shows you and walks through the full setup. But on that page, you also have a form that you need to submit. Because if we want to speak to you, we need to know more about your company, to also gauge whether the strategy that we built is something that is beneficial for you. If not, it's no purpose of you wasting your time on that call, because it's not a strategy that we would recommend implementing. But if you want to learn more about how this is, if you want to learn how you can build these tools again, just reach out to us, and I hope this was useful. And I B2B Santa checking out, and I wish you a Merry Christmas.